Hey guys, Ty Lord here with a review on about 7 or 8 movies I've watched this week. Mostly action, all action, sci-fi, martial arts, fantasy, one of them. I'm here in front of the post office. I was gonna mail a package to Retro T-Bone, but it's not open yet. I didn't realize the post office doesn't open till 9. I was never up that early until after my surgery. I've been off on disability, so I've been getting up earlier. When I go back to work, I'll be on swing shift, so I'm never up this early. So I have about a half hour to kill before this is open. I was going to go to the gym, but I'll go to the gym after I go to the post office. And so I have about a half hour to kill right now. So I'm going to talk about these 8 movies I've watched this week. A lot of them are recent pickups that I didn't cover in my last video, but I pretty much enjoyed all of these. And I'll start with a new one, a Dollar Tree pickup, a Cagefighter with, you see Chuck Liddell's in this and Gina Gershon, and these two fighter guys, the pro wrestler, John Moxley. I don't really keep up with wrestling, so I haven't really followed his career. I remember he was in The Shield, and he was called something else like Dean Ambrose in WWF. And this guy's the main star, Alex Montagnani. I think he's like an MMA fighter, but he pulls off this role pretty good as the lead character. So what this movie is about, it's called Cagefighter Worlds Collide. I didn't know this movie was about a pro wrestler versus a cage fighter. It kind of plays out kind of like a documentary. It's a movie, but it's about this promotion called the Legends promotion, and it's run by Gina Gershon, who's really lovely. She's got to be 60 years old, but she looks very lovely in this. She's kind of like the owner, kind of a tough girl, good businesswoman, runs this company. And and this guy here, Alex Montagnani, plays a guy named Reese Gibbons, and he's like the undefeated heavyweight champion of cage fighting, and he's like, I think he's multiple champions or whatever, and he's never lost. He's a British guy. He came up from humble beginnings, and he's still a pretty humble guy, really likable. His best friend, I forget the actor's name, he's kind of a little ginger looking guy, is his manager, and he takes care of his career. And he's kind of a humble guy, and he's all happy now that he's famous. Like, he's really proud that he's famous, and all the kids in London look up to him. And what else? He got yeah, has all kinds of promotions, or he has like movie deals, and he has his own sneakers he's gonna get. So he's like a big time athlete. Then this guy comes along and is challenging him. He's just a what is it, AEW wrestler. Like, he's a phony baloney wrestler, and he's a pretty tough guy though, and he's talking all this trash, wanting to fight him in a cage match for the championship. Chuck Liddell is his trainer, and he's like a really good trainer, and he's like a father figure to him. Gina Gershon thinks there's going to be a lot of money in this. Going to be a lot of money in this fight, so she wants it to happen. The pro wrestler versus the cage fighter, and everyone thinks it's a joke. Like this guy's just gonna kill the pro wrestler, the phony baloney wrestler, just like how CM Punk thought he was gonna do anything in MMA, and he just got smashed. Brock Lesnar doesn't count because he was like an amateur wrestler, high caliber. So of course that guy's gonna go smash it in MMA. But you're expecting this guy's gonna be like a CM Punk type guy that just goes in there and gets thrashed. He talks all kinds of trash. John Moxley's really good in this. He's kind of like the Mr. T in Rocky 3, talking all kinds of trash to this guy. Everyone thinks it's a joke. There's all kinds of wrestler and fighter cameos. That guy, is his name Christian Cage, has like a radio show, and he thinks it's a joke that the wrestler's gonna fight a MMA guy. So but anyway, this guy's all on cloud 9. He has a wife and a baby, and he's on top of the world. And then the fight happens, and he's taking it really lightly, really cocky. this guy beats him, like he beats him down. It's really embarrassing. I think it was because this guy didn't take it serious, and he thinks he's a big star now. It's kind of letting him go to his head. Anyway, from there, I don't want to ruin the rest of the movie. From there, it's his comeback, and he really gets to a low level. He runs out of money. He starts losing matches. Like he went from the top all the way to the bottom. But it's a kind of a comeback story at the end. A lot of cool fighting. Not really much pro wrestling. It's kind of more like phony baloney looking at MMA, which is cool on camera. Really cool. But I thought this guy was a good, brought a lot of emotion. Alex Montagnani, and John Moxley and Gina Gershon's good. Chuck Liddell surprisingly pulled off some pretty good dialogue in this. Directed by Jose Quindez. So I recommend that if you see it at Dollar Tree and you're into pro wrestling or MMA. I haven't been keeping up with pro wrestling or MMA for a long time. Anyway, more martial arts stuff. From the director of Commando, Mark Lester. The Base with Mark Dacascos. Mark Dacascos is like the most underrated action star ever in the history of anything. You just see the way this guy moves. He moves like Jackie Chan. He speaks perfect English. I think his parents were both martial artists. Martial arts competitor ever since he was a little kid. And he's really charismatic, really good on screen, really underrated. Like, I don't know why this guy isn't wasn't like in the top 3 or 4 action guys in the 90s. Anyway, this is The Base. This is a really cool movie. Not as corny as some of the other movies I watched. This is actually a mobster movie. Mark Dacascos is in the military. He's like special forces or something. And then some superiors want him to infiltrate this group of soldiers led by, what's the actor's name? I think his name is Tim Abel. I've seen him in a few things. He's really good in this. He's like the leader of this little squad of soldiers, and they're like pretty much like a mob. Like they're a mafia within the military, and they kind of have one of the generals on their side to keep it hush hush. But they do drug deals and they kill other drug dealers. They're like running the show with dealing drugs. But the guy that runs it is Tim Abel, and man, that guy, he pulls off like a really scary boss. Like he really seems like a military guy, like his jawline and the way he talks and the way he's built. I thought for sure like he was a real guy from the military, but he was just an actor. But he pulls it off really good. But he's like the sort of like the ringleader, and Dacascos plays, what's his character's name? John Murphy. He joins their little group, and he infiltrates their group, and he ends up liking him, and they end up liking each other, and he kind of respects the guy, but he needs to bring him down. He needs to find dirt on him. So it's like a really cool mafia movie. They're doing like drug deals and stuff, and they're killing people, but he can't quite get enough information to bring back to his superiors. His contact is this hot girl. What's her name? Paula Tricky, I think. He meets up with her at a hotel. She's just playing it off like she's his girlfriend, but she's his contact to take back to his superiors. But he can't ever quite get the recording or what he needs. But these guys are running the show. These military guys. There's like a group of 4 or 5 of them, and he's part of them. They're just like running all of LA with all their drug dealing and within the military, so they have all kinds of resources. But anyway, he finally it comes down to a showdown in a boiler room, just like Commando, the same director. Really cool movie. Not so heavy on the martial arts, but he brings it when there is martial arts. Very cool. Speaking of Mark Dacascos, I had to go back and watch the movie he's known for. Uh, Only the Strong, directed by Sheldon Lettich. This is a really good, this is probably like within the top 5 martial art movies ever made in the United States. Same director as Bloodsport. Oh, no. He didn't direct Bloodsport. He was like one of the writers. He did Lionheart and Double Impact. This is probably Mark Dacascos' best role. He plays a guy out of the military, of course, that is he was stationed down in Brazil, so he was trained by master capoeira dancing. Capoeira is the like African or / South American fighting style that looks like dancing. He was trained by a master down there. He comes back to the States and he wants to clean up his old high school. He becomes a teacher. It's kind of like Dangerous Minds or like Lean on Me or Stand and Deliver, but with capoeira instead of a regular teacher. Like he's a capoeira teacher, like a coach, and he straightens out a group of hoodlum kids. One of the hoodlum kids is a really good actor. I can't think of the guy's name. He's kind of like a little guy. But his cousin is like the big drug dealer, the big gang leader, and it's this guy Paco Christian Preto, and this guy's awesome. This is like one of the best bad guys you'll ever see in a movie, and I guess he wasn't even an actor. He was just a martial arts guy that Sheldon Lettich got for Lionheart, and he ended up playing the main lead in this. This guy is awesome. He reminds me of Razor Ramon. When I was a kid, my buddy and I loved this movie. Like, this was the best bad guy. He reminded us, he came out around the same time as Razor Ramon. He has like an accent and I can't do that accent, but he has like a deep voice. Like, I'm going to get you. But anyway, he's the bad guy. He's harassing the kids. He's trying to set the kids on the right track, but some of them kind of are hoodlums, and they're more influenced by this guy. Just a really cool movie. Cool showdown. He does that cool, I don't know what the name of that kick is, like a 360 butterfly kick he does at the end. This guy is so freaking athletic. And I think he got all jacked for this one. Like, this was the biggest he ever was. Like, really good physique. Of course, he had a lady friend, a nice, I forgot who played his girlfriend, one of the other teachers at the school. Also, was Jeffrey Lewis, that old actor, used to be in Clint Eastwood movies. He was in Double Impact. He's like his teacher that he admires, like one of the good teachers at the school. Yeah, Stacy Travis. He has a pretty girlfriend, like they were high school lovers or something, and she's a teacher now. So yeah, highly recommend this one. Only the Strong. Yeah, he little montages. He's teaching the kids, straightening them out. Like, first they don't like him, and they're giving him attitude, and they think it's sissy stuff. But then they start getting into it, and they see how badass he is. The kids start getting into it. They start learning capoeira, and they learn discipline and respect and all that. So really good stuff. Okay, speaking of Christian, or Pablo Christian Prieto, how do you say his name? Prieto, Paco Christian Prieto. He's in this movie, Champions, with Ken Shamrock, Danny Trejo. The star is Louis Mandylor. Champions. This was one of the ones, my buddy and I were big admirers of Ken Shamrock when we were kids. We even went to train at the Lion's Den, which was a short drive away. So we met him and Frank Shamrock and all the guys that did MMA back then. And it wasn't popular like it is now. Like, I think we just went and paid like $20 a month and took the self-defense class, and we got to roll around with all these guys. Not so much him, because he was always like training, but really cool little facility back then. I'm sure that it's gotten way better. Anyway, this is Champions. Really cool movie. I really enjoy this. Sort of in the same vein as Bloodsport or Kickboxer 4, if you like those movies. Louis Mandylor. This is probably my favorite Louis Mandylor leading role. He's a martial arts competitor, and now he's retired and he's a teacher. His little brother, of course, is wanting to do underground fights. So he joins Danny Trejo's organization. It's called like Lethal Combat. I think the name of the movie should have been called that and not Champions. Anyway, but Louis Mandylor's brother joins this underground fight stuff, and he gets killed by Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock's like the champion. He kills him on video. Louis Mandylor gets a hold of the video and sees his brother's dead, so he was always the one trying to talk him out of doing that type of stuff and doing the right thing. But then after he sees his brother's dead, of course he wants to go join the tournament. MMA has been banned in this universe, and he was and now he runs an underground fight thing, like all kinds of underground bets online and whatever. He has a whole crew of people. He's a really cool villain in this, really over the top, like really sleazy. Really loves the ladies. Yeah, so he gets together a bunch of fighters and brings them in, and they're all different kinds of fighters to join this tournament. And Louis Mandylor gets in last minute, like he beats another competitor to take his spot. He wants to come in to get revenge and kill Ken Shamrock, who killed his brother. Turns out Ken Shamrock's a slave to this guy, and he has like a little shock collar on. And this guy has his wife, and he's boning his wife. It's really terrible. Like his wife is this guy's arm piece, and this guy's just his slave. And yeah, so all these different fighters come in. This is a cool like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter type scenario. I like it. Like there's all like 5 or 6 different fighters, and they all have a backstory. Of course, Louis Mandylor is there to get revenge. There's like a female cop that's one of the leads, and she's really cool, like a female. Kind of reminds me of like Sonya from Mortal Kombat. And then there's this one chick. They have women fight the men, which is crazy. This one chick's just kind of like a point fighter, and she's just like not really a fighter, and like she gets killed early on. It's really weird. And then Lee Rayerman is in this, that big blonde guy, and he kind of plays like a stock market guy. Like he's kind of like a nerdy computer guy, but he's really big and buffed, and he always wears a suit and has glasses. Lee Rayerman is, I remember he was on that show Arena on G4 where he hosted the video game contest. He's kind of like a big buff like white guy, and that poor guy died. I didn't realize that. You see him in a lot of movies, but he plays one of the characters in here, kind of like one of the good guys. Also, going off of this, Paco Christian Prieto is in this. He fights Ken Shamrock. So he has fought in quite a few people on film. Mark Dacascos, Van Damme, and Ken Shamrock. But he plays a little role. I wish he would have been in it more. Anyway, it just kind of... The end gets kind of crazy. Like there's a big shootout and all that. And this is a fun movie, though. I recommend it. Champions with probably one of the first movies Ken Shamrock was in. This was when he was while he was training to fight. Danny Trejo's a good bad guy. I like Louis Mandylor as the lead. I got to see more movies with him. He usually just plays little parts in movies I see, or supporting parts. Anyway, and back to the Dollar Tree, a newer movie I really enjoyed, Android Cop with Michael Jai White and Charles S. Dutton. This is a really cool movie. Androids are taking over the police enforcement, the law enforcement. Michael Jai White's a regular man, a regular cop. This guy, he's played by Randy Wayne. I never saw him before, but he plays a good robot, like all by the book, like very robotic character. And these two clash. Like they butt heads a lot. They're partners. It's like a buddy cop movie. I think it has a lot of fun, pretty good dialogue, pretty funny. What it is there's this dead zone within the city, kind of like Escape from New York, but it's not prisoners. It's like a contaminated area. And it's all like, looks like wasteland, but it's all quarantined off, and all the gangs and drug dealers are there. And Michael J. White and his team go on a mission there. It starts off like pretty typical like sci-fi movie. They get into a big battle, and this guy comes to save the day, and then he doesn't like him. And then they go back to the police station. Of course, the chief says, "Yeah, you guys are going to be partners." The mayor's daughter is missing. She's kind of like a what do you call it? Not resistance, an activist for the poor people that live within that zone. Like, they're all getting sick and dying, and she's kind of like an activist. She tries to go back there and help them. Trouble is, she actually got paralyzed, like injured back there, and she's laying in a bed in a coma, but she's linked up to an android that looks just like her, and so that thing is missing behind that zone. And she doesn't even know she's an android. Her brain is in this thing that looks just like her. So these two guys are off to retrieve her. Charles S. Dutton's her dad. Of course, he's crooked. He's the mayor. There's a twist, a plot twist. The other guy from what was that show called? The Different World. What's his name? Kadeem Hardison is in here. He plays like one of the bad crooked cops. He's pretty cool in this. Michael J. White does all kinds of martial arts. I like the little dynamics between these two guys. They go behind the enemy lines and try to rescue the girl, and then they kind of go on an adventure. Yeah, I really like this character. I like Michael J. White's pretty funny in this. He's kind of an underrated action guy too. He's getting up there, so I don't know how many more years he'll be making stuff, but he still looks pretty fit and young for his age. So I enjoyed this one, Android Cop. Okay, speaking of cops and androids, these movies should be called Cyborg Cop because there's actually cyborg cops in them. Cyber Tracker with Don the Dragon Wilson. It had been a while since I've seen these. I went and rewatched them, and they are excellent. PM Entertainment, directed by Richard Pepin. He's done a lot of these movies. This is as good as you're going to get with like straight-to-video action, like the highest caliber action movie that was straight-to-video. This is from the 90s. Same type of scenario as this, like the androids have been taken over law enforcement. They've even taken over like government, the judicial system, and they've taken over the government, or they're being integrated into it. And there's all kinds of activists and protesters that don't want this, because these guys, these android cops go around. The android cops played by a guy named Jim Maniaci, or Jim Maniaci. But he plays a pretty good, like, big robot. He has a good look for, like, a big robot killer that doesn't have any remorse or emotion. He just goes around, "You violated the law. You've been sentenced to death." Like, he'll just go kill people right in the bar. But there's all kinds of activists that don't like this. Don the Dragon Wilson is a security guy. He's kind of new to the job. To protect the senator, and the senator's crooked. He's in cahoots with the company that builds these things, and that guy's a real sleazebag. I can't think of that actor's name. The guy that runs the company, he's in a lot of these PM Entertainment. It's like a really creepy looking guy. But the senator is like giving a speech, and Don the Dragon Wilson and Richard Norton are there to protect him. They're like his security. So the activists show up, and they start a shootout, and Don the Dragon Wilson and Richard Norton kill a bunch of them, and they save the senator. And then the senator's like, "Man, this guy's good." Don the Dragon Wilson's character, what's his name? Eric Phillips. They go, "Oh, this guy's good." But Edward Norton doesn't like him. Like, "I don't trust him." So anyway, the senator captures one of his employees, this female that's like doing something shady, like getting information behind his back, and they capture her and they put her in the trunk. They call Don the Dragon Wilson over. They say, "Kill this woman. She's betrayed me." Like, they wanted to make sure Don the Dragon Wilson's a bad guy like them, to be with, to work for them. And then he says, "No, I'm not doing that." And he runs away, and then they end up shooting her anyway. So then it's a manhunt. Richard Norton is trying to catch Don the Dragon Wilson. Don the Dragon Wilson meets up with the resistance group, and they don't like him at first because he just killed a bunch of them. But it's led by this pretty blonde girl The actress is Stacey Foster, and she doesn't really have much to do in this movie. She's the lead of the Resistance, but she goes on to the next movie. I'll talk more about her later. But she's the leader of the Resistance. So he goes and hides out with them, and they want to bring down this evil corporation and the government that's trying to run the country with cyborgs. So they send a bunch of these guys after Don Wilson, and he fights a bunch of them. Like, there's a lot of cool fights, and there's a lot of car chases, a lot of the typical PM Entertainment car hitting another car and flipping over. There's even a fire truck does that, like an old school like fire truck does a flip, hits a car and spirals in the air. Don the Dragon Wilson has all kinds of fights with this guy. There's all different versions of him. I don't know how many versions of this guy he goes through in the movie. Anyway, they find the Resistance group. Anyway, there's a showdown at the end. Of course, Don the Dragon Wilson does a kung fu match with Richard Norton, which is cool. Really cool cyborg movie. That's all I got to say about that one. The next one, Cyber Tracker 2, again directed by Richard Pepin. This one's even better. Like, this is, oh man, this is like Terminator 2 and RoboCop all blended together. The same guy's back. This time, Don the Dragon Wilson hooked up with Stacey Foster here. They're married now. They're a nice little couple with a nice house. He's still a cop, and she's a reporter, like a TV news reporter. She's no longer a terrorist, a leader of a resistance, because it turned out they were all right in the first movie. So they're all upstanding citizens now. This guy's back, Jim Maniassi. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he plays this. Now Don the Dragon Wilson, he's doing like a drug bust, and he has long hair. He's a lot cooler looking. This like a black trench coat, long hair. He's doing a drug bust. Now this guy's a good guy, like he's helping Don the Dragon Wilson, kind of like Android Cop. Like he comes in and saves the day, and they're like buddies now. So they're still androids, but they don't run the show. Like they just come in to help the officers to reduce officer casualties or whatever. Anyway, so Stacey Foster, and this the cute blonde, his wife, has a lot better role in this one. She goes to work to cover like the mayor's speech. All of a sudden she gets out of the truck and she goes Terminator and kills the mayor. Like you think she's gone back to her old terrorist ways, because the mayor might be kind of like pro cyborg or whatever. So you're thinking, well, this girl's gone crazy, but Don Wilson doesn't believe she would do something like that. And it turns out it was someone kidnapped her and built a cyborg that looked like her to kill the mayor. And they have her hostage. So she has a pretty good like escape scene. A lot of cars blowing up and stuff. And Don the Dragon Wilson goes rogue. Like he doesn't want to take down his wife. So he meets up with a bunch of his old crew from the old Resistant days. There's a crooked guy running the whole show now, and it's played by, what's his name? Anthony DeLongis is the main bad guy. Usually he's not the main bad guy. Anthony DeLongis is usually like one of the henchmen, and he's the guy that's like a weapons expert. He always has like knives or swords or a bullwhip or something. This one, he's kind of like a CEO type. Like he has a suit, but he's like a really cool character, like a cool villain, really cocky, over the top, like Bruce Campbell type performance. He has a short little fight with Don the Dragon at the end, but he kind of runs the show. He's building these cyborgs. He can make them look like whatever that he wants them to look like, so that they build the fake girl robot to kill the president. They end up making a fake Don the Dragon Wilson to make this guy look bad. This guy goes on a rampage, the fake Don the Dragon Wilson. Like he goes through a police station, like kills more cops than Terminator 1. He has a fight with this guy, like two cyborgs fight each other. They meet up with one of their little buddies from the old Resistance, this younger pretty boy looking white boy. He looks just like Leon from Resident Evil. He has the same haircut. He's like a handsome young guy. He's always has the gun. Like a couple of screenshots I took of him, it looks just like something out of a Resident Evil movie. And this came out before, so I don't know if this was one of the movies that inspired Resident Evil, Leon's look. But one of the young guys that's one of the buddies of him looks just like Leon from Resident Evil. Of course, this guy comes back and they program him to help him out. So they raid the enemy's base at the end with their buddy, the big RoboCop guy, and the girl and Don and Leon and everyone. A big fight. I was hoping there'd be a bigger fight between Don Wilson and Anthony DeLongis, but there's all kinds of stuff going on at the end. Really cool cyborg movie. Probably one of my favorites. The last one, kind of off of the cyborg subject, Kull the Conqueror with Kevin Sorbo and Tia Carrera. Cool fantasy, directed by John Nicolia. I don't know. I think he might have just done like TV stuff. I'm not sure. Didn't really look into him. This is a cool fantasy movie from the 90s. I kind of brushed this off as a kid because I more like that 80s gritty look, that gritty science fantasy like Conan the Barbarian and Sword and the Sorcerer. 90s has this nice glowing look, like a really nice look, but it's not that gritty look I like from Conan. This, you can tell it came out around the same time as GoldenEye. Like, all those movies look really nice. Like, they have a nice glow to them. Kevin Sorbo plays a barbarian, very similar to Conan. This could have been a Conan movie. It's more tame. It's probably like more of a PG movie than Conan. There's like not nudity. They show all kinds of skin though. He's always showing off his physique. I like that his weapon of choice is a battle axe. You don't see like barbarian lead characters like a battle axe is his weapon of choice. This is a cool movie though. He's trying to join the royal army and they're testing him and he's beating them all up, but they don't want him in there because he's not royal blood. Meanwhile, the king is being challenged. Like, anyone can challenge the king and fight him. So he's killing and it's played by what's his name? His name's Finn Olsen. I can't remember. The guy from the guy from Running Man and Conan. That big. He's like a Scandinavian guy. He plays the king. He's killing all these people that are challenging his crown. Cole comes in there and says, "No, stop killing. There's been enough killing." And then the king attacks him, and then Cole kills him, and then the douchebag prince. It's played by what's his name, Ian Griffin, or Thomas Ian Griffin. He plays a good bad guy in this. He's all, "I'm gonna be the king now. I'm the son." And then the king, his dying words, all, "No, Cole beat me. He's he's the king." And then Thomas Ian Griffin's like, "No, I'm royal blood." And then the king's, "I don't care." And all of the lawmen and the bishops are all there and they witness it. So they give the crown to Kull, and then Kull tries to turn everything around. He doesn't want any more slaves, and he doesn't want any more. They were beating up people for having different religions. Like, you can pray to any god you want. Like, he wants to become a just king. And he loves one of the slave girls. Like, they give him a choice between all the slave girls, and there's this one, she's a tarot card reader, and he's really in love with her, but he doesn't want to force himself upon her. He wants to have her affection, but she's kind of hard to get. She becomes the main female lead in this. Oh, and then one of the king's men is that fat gay guy from Total Recall, the guy that works for Recall, like the spokesman. And he was in Killer Fish. He got eaten by the piranhas in Killer Fish. I can't think of that actor's name. Anything he's in, he's gold. Like, he's one of the king's servants. Anyway, the two princes, Thomas Ian Griffin and the other really weenie prince, don't like that he's king, so they go resurrect this witch. They used to run the world in the Age of Darkness or whatever, played by Tia Carrera, and she is freaking sexy. Oh my god. She's like, you know her from other movies, Wayne Worlds, Showdown Little Tokyo, True Lies. she comes back to life and seduces him, like, to become his new queen, and puts a spell on him and tries to kill him. They think he's dead, but she really just knocked him out because she wanted him to work for him, but he ended up escaping anyway. So she's running the show now with the Crooked Sons. He gets outcast with this little priest guy played by Lightfoot. He's like a young, like, Native American looking guy. They escape with the girl, the tarot card reader. They blame his death on the tarot card reader somehow. So she's running the show, and they go on an adventure to get some kind of special power to defeat this evil witch. So it's kind of like an adventure movie. Kind of reminds me of like a Sinbad movie, or a Jason and the Argonauts combined with Conan. It's more PG, so I'd probably put it more along the lines of a Sinbad movie. Although there's all kinds of hot women in this, showing a lot of skin, and Kevin Sorbo too, showing off his physique. And he's a pretty good actor. He pulls off this role good. He plays like a good Conan type character, and he's like a just guy. Like, he has good principles. There's cool showdowns, all kind of weird scenarios. They meet up with these pirates that they end up taking Kull and his gang hostage. And one of the thugs in there is Pat Roach. Like, he fights with Pat Roach. Pat Roach is that big dude that fought Indiana Jones and got chopped up by the propeller blade, and he fought James Bond on Never Say Never Again in that health clinic, or that health resort. He's in this, and this is like 10 years after that, and he looks like he's even in better shape. He's like a big dude. He fights Cole on the boat. Really fun adventure scenarios. It has that rock music, like everything in the 90s had rock music, like electric guitar riffs, which is cool, but I kind of more prefer like that orchestrated sound, like Conan the Barbarian. But it works for this movie. I brushed this off as a kid because I thought it looked like trash, but I actually enjoyed it as an adult watching it. Sword and Sorcery Extravaganza, that's what it is. I'll definitely put it in my collection of fantasy sword and sorcery movies. And that's about it. I think the post office is going to open soon, so I'll see you guys later. Bye.